Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for a few minutes of fun. I'm having a few minutes of fun in a little altered book art journal today. You have seen it before. In fact, you saw the covers being altered with some of my tissue paper. And I think we also had this little page, a summary one. It's now October. It's the next time I'm getting a chance to play in here. In fact, October 2025, I am in the designer spotlight for the Simon Says Stamp Monday challenge. And the challenge in the final week of my guest spot in October is to add some texture. So that's my brief for today, add some texture. And because it's the end of October, things are maybe a little bit spooky. We'll see. I wanted to start by showing you these two paper dolls from two different sets. I'm often talking about the tone of photos I use, the ideology found relatives or the photo booth snapshots, or these are fabulous paper dolls. And you can see there's a vast difference between this gorgeous sepia pale toned photo here and this very much stronger black and white version, and that can make a huge difference on a page to the sort of atmosphere, to the look of it. She might not even take place, in fact there's one of the small versions and she's even sort of paler and browner. So just if you've got more than one pack of paper dolls, I tend to open mine and put them in a shared tin so they're all around, but the Halloween packs I do keep separate for a while. Take a look and make sure that if you've got doubles that you are just paying a little bit of attention to colour tone and things like that, because it can make a huge difference. So the textures I'm thinking of adding might be fabric, might be tissue, might be texture paste, might be a bit of crackle. And what I thought is I really enjoyed these bits of tissue sort of hanging over the edge of the page here. So I think that's going to be my first port of call, is just to add these pieces that I've got here maybe to the edges of the pages. I haven't sort of, or maybe it's not only the, well, you see, I do like that it's these, it happens to be two bits with Shakespeare's name on that are left. They might end up getting completely covered up, and if that's the case, that's fine. That's just the journey. That's what happens. So I'm going to use a little bit of thick sort of decoupage kind of glue. This is my favoured Liquitex Super Heavy. It's a bit of a waste of the Super Heavy actually, but at the moment it's the only one I can find that is definitely matte, and I don't want glossy glue. So I'm going to put a little bit over the top as well, because that'll just seal that in, and that's just giving me some texture straight away. It's just hanging over a little bit too far. So I'm going to really carefully peel that back. Yes, it worked. And stick it a little bit further up so that, dig it down into the margin there, so that I haven't got quite as much paper sticking out over the edges. A little bit of glue onto those sticky out bits is going to give them a bit more wear and tear ability. A little more durability in the long run as they go in and out of the bookshelf and wait for the next time I get to play in the journal. So again, Shakespeare onto that corner, a little bit sticking out, right down into the margin, glue it in. And one of the things I love about gluing tissue paper into a book is you do get to see the text underneath again. So again, I'm just giving those edge bits a little bit of gluiness, because that's going to give them a bit more, as I say, long-livedness. There's not any under there, so let's just, oh, and I've lost the works. Let's put it back on. So watch out for tissue paper. It'll be nice and strong until it isn't. But it's, you see, it's rescuable, and it's all extra texture. So while I've got this glue out, I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of this mummy cloth. I love this stuff. It's cheesecloth. This happens to be the Tim Holtz, what they refer to as mummy cloth, but it is in old-fashioned terms cheesecloth. Wonderful stuff that sort of comes apart and creates lovely threadiness and yeah, delicious sort of messiness, which I think is going to form part of, again, the composition here. Maybe we add a little bit of this as well. So this is some linen ribbon. Don't ask me where I got it. I'm sorry. It's been sitting in my stash forever. It's actually thicker than this, or wider, I should say. This is already a trimmed down version. And as you can see, I'm trimming further, just pulling threads apart. I think I'm going to make that a bit of texture in here as well. So that's a bit too much. Let's have a bit less of that side. And I'm just going to go again with the same glue into here. Stick that down. And again, I'm deliberately gluing it so it goes over the edge of the page. I want that chunkiness in the long run, and interest and detail of things coming out of the edge of this book. Anybody who's seen my other altered book journal will know that's a regular feature. So I'm just getting some fabric down to start with, and then I think I'm going to come over with some texture paste and delicious things like that in a minute. I kind of don't want to lose William Shakespeare altogether. I'm loving these threads that are just going everywhere. That's all good by me. Very happy. And as you can see, I'm ripping more shreds whenever I can. Getting that glued down. Let's have this one. Let's make it a bit messier. There it is, ready to go here. So that's a bit of messy texture. There's no point doing this if you don't like getting your fingers in a mess, because that's what's also happening as I'm doing this. Grand. Well, that's quite a lot of texture on the page already, isn't it? That's scrumptious. Delicious sort of threads and bits and bobs going everywhere. So let's make sure we're washing that brush. We don't want the glue to dry on it. I think I'm going to take maybe a bit of gesso over some of that to just knock it back a bit. Having washed that brush, I think it's probably clean enough to also be my gesso brush. These are just my cheap IKEA craft brushes. They are in the children's art department, children's toy department in that certain Swedish furniture store. If you happen to have one nearby, you should be able to order them online in most countries where you've got IKEA, which is how the European version. So I have already gessoed these pages. You can see if you have a look at the real colour. So there's already a little bit of gesso on these pages, just creating a softness to that text. I don't really want the text to be the main thing we're looking at. That's great. Maybe a bit of texture paste as well. What do we think? I'm sort of quite interested in this cobweb stencil, so I might just ink a bit of that before I add more texture, because once I put the texture in, then stenciling becomes a little bit tricky. Don't know how much colour I really want to introduce today. I'm feeling a bit neutral. Feeling a bit neutral. Here's a little bit of hickory smoke, which I think might create quite a nice shadowy, smoky sort of a look. There's already some brown on the blending brush, on the sponge. I'm not going to worry overly much about that. A little bit of, oh, that's good, isn't it? And then I'm going to have some coming up from here. Nice. Oh, let's get a little bit more of the centre of that in place. Although if the woman goes in, she's probably going to be there, so you won't see it. That to me also feels like texture. That is a version of texture, although it's two-dimensional. It does give that impression of depth and texture and detail, which is rather lovely. No idea what was already on there. Maybe ground espresso, maybe a little bit of scorched timber. Oh yes, I think maybe scorched timber I was using quite recently. So that's already shaping up quite nicely. Let's maybe zoom in just a little bit so that you can see the next stages. I feel like it's always a little bit of a balancing act. I know some of you would like to go in closer, but then you miss some of the stuff going on around the edge, and then I move things so that I can use my craft mat as a palette, and then things go off camera because I forget I've zoomed in. So yeah, I try to do it sometimes, but not always. Right, let's see. Do I want a little bit of brick texture, or am I happy with what's going on already? I thought about having these bricks sort of moving across the page, but I think I might be more interested in something a bit more random to start with. I've got this fabulous grit paste, the Crypt paste, and I'm thinking that might go through these bricks in a minute. Let's put on a little bit of crackle paste. We're going to have to be patient and wait for it to crackle if we do that, because crackle paste, you can't heat crackle it. You have to let it do its thing by itself. But I'm just thinking, you know, I can't resist a bit of crackle. So just adding that as random texture here and there, letting that be it'll be a secret delight. And in the meantime, we can sort of plan some more things and do some more things whilst being careful not to disrupt the crackle. But that's quite a nice layer to have in, I think. And you'll notice I'm not trying to smooth it out. The more different thicknesses you have, the more different sizes of crack you're going to end up with. Let's just clean that. Don't want it quite so organized. I want a little bit messier. Let's go over the top of that cheesecloth there. Let's make sure that's stuck down. Grand, that's going to be fun. I think that might be enough. I don't think I do want the bricks and the grit paste. Maybe we'll save that for another day, another dollar. Okay, let's just have a little think about these women. See, that's a very bold look with the dark black version. That's an altogether softer, gentler affair. Still spooky. She's definitely still spooky. I'd quite like her to have something to rest her hand on. So there are some leftover bits of the letterpress, typewriter, printing press bits of texture that came in an earlier Simon Says Stamp project earlier this month, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen. I quite like the idea of maybe one of those under here. As you can see at the moment, I'm putting my crackle paste at risk by doing this. Or do we want it going sideways? It'd be quite interesting to have the letter going sideways. Letter A for Alison. There we are. That just gives her something to rest her hand on. And it's also a bit of texture. This is the other reason I've got these leftover cutouts here, because I thought that's texture. Or we could use a little bit of design tape for that area. Just having a think. I might just have a little play with some bits and bobs of Halloween ephemera. These are from all kinds of years. Again, there are seasonal releases of all these deliciously otherworldly bits of ephemera. And some years I pick some up, some years I don't. Often there's a thing I think I must have that, and then it sits here for ages on end, not quite getting deployed. But I think, ooh, see, that's quite interesting going under her hand there, isn't it? Maybe I can thread it so it's under the hand and over the skirt. That's good. So she's rapidly becoming a poisoner, as often happens this time of year. Because I love the little poison labels. I love the little jars, Apothecary jars that you can put a bit of skeleton stuff on. So as I'm building that there, I might build a kind of partner bit of collaging over at the other side Table of the Skeleton. That would be quite nice if we had a skeleton in. I've got lots of skeleton stamps that I love dearly, but that's quite large. So one of these is a large set, the other is a little bit more of a sort of snippet set. So there will be smaller versions of things. Do we want beetles and bugs? Don't think I really want beetles and bugs today. Quite like this poison label. Don't want the orange bit. Definitely feeling the neutrals at the moment. We'll see if we get any other colours coming in. That's quite strong. So that, as you can see, would be better balanced perhaps by the darker woman if I'm going to go. Yeah, maybe we switch her out. There we go. So these are the little games I end up playing. Do I want this? Do I want that? How is that going? She's clearly, yeah, palmistry with a side order of poison. And yeah, you can see the storytelling sort of builds as I go. I learn things about her. Unlucky 13 seems like it should probably be in there. Let's see what else we can get. It just tells us a little story. If she's a palmistry, we might, see, too much pink and also too much palm. What have we got here? Wicked. Ooh, is she as much as Wicked? I don't think she is. She's just a little bit alternative, shall we say. I don't think I'm going to go as far as Wicked. Oh, that says exactly the same thing. That's unfortunate. I could do with one of those that says something slightly different. Just going to have a little fish around in here. I know lots of people who spread these out into sketchbooks and scrapbooks and things so that they can see exactly what they've got, but I actually really enjoy the process of fishing around and discovering what it is I'm after on any given day. This, I think, and possibly this one as well, actually are not from the ephemera packs. I think they're cut from a paper pack. Yeah, quite like that. This is not making me happy because it's not quite the right colour tone. It's a bit too pink. So we'll keep going and see what else we get. No reason we couldn't have one of these because, as I say, it is texture. Maybe we tuck it down somewhere in here. And then, of course, we've got others. Maybe they're her initials. Oh, it's the A and the S from Shakespeare as well. That was pressed into, so it's an embossing folder. I did it in the Tim Holtz black cardstock, which has craft underneath. So as soon as you sand it back, you get all this scrumptious texture going on. Thinking that might be a thing. But we've just got those echoes going from page to page. Just a few more bits and bobs, I think. There's a small 13 here, so I'm just wondering about tucking a large 13 in behind her. Just unlucky for some, as they say. I'm starting to cover up that spider's web, but it's fine. It's a subliminal little element. There she is, holding on to her Succus taraxacii. Who knows what that involves? And any second now, what I'm going to need are a few of my teeny tiny curator labels to just add to the fun. There are some snippets in here as well. Blackberry jam, I don't think. Blackberry jam sounds very innocent, but there are lots of sort of little apothecary labels in here, which I think are going to be nice extras. Yeah, the blackberry jam is definitely one of the snippets rather than ephemera. But this is what I mean. Once I'm using them, they all start to get mixed up together and shared out. I'm looking for something sort of slightly larger to go here, probably at some point. But for now, I'm just happy pulling out some labels and delights to just spread around. I'm probably going to do a bit of stamping quite soon. Let's see what else we've got in here. See, this is what I mean about suddenly I'm off camera and I don't know that I'm off camera. Oh, that's quite a good sort of behind, don't really notice. Don't want to lose too much cobweb in this corner as well. It remains to be seen how much crackle we end up with, given I'm messing around as I am. I might put a little more crackle just over here, because I really did bump into that a bit too much, and I think I probably wrecked what was going on. That'll be great, that'll be good, that'll be fine. And maybe if I can get something not too colourful, I would sort of like a little bug or some such up here. That's a little butterfly caught in the spider's web. Ooh, poor butterfly. Maybe I need a spider. Oh, there is a magic spider, isn't there, in one of the stamp sets? I might have to go looking for that. Yeah, I'm going to go and find the spider stamp. Here we are. I'm not sure this is the one I'm thinking of, but he's wonderful. I love him. So for once in a while, I might be going to stamp him in black, somewhere in this spider web, and then I can draw a little thread coming down. There are also wonderful Tim Holtz cobweb stamps that I use a lot, but I've already got the cobweb stencil in there, so we'll stick to that for now. So a little bit of black ink, and I think we want him about yay position. There he is. Marvellous. And then just a little fine liner of him coming down from the top of the page. That's rather pleasing. Good. What's that set? Oh, the Apothecary. Yeah, I mean, this is one of my all-time favourite skulls. He's just wonderful. I do love a skull, not only at Halloween, in fact. I find the skull a very beautiful thing. It's the place that houses our brains, our imaginations, our intelligence. What not to love. I'm just thinking of a little bit of this gorgeous text as well as the skull. This set has one of my favourite bits of vintage script, so I'm just thinking that might be quite a nice subtle background element. Don't want to stamp it into the crackle paste, that would be a waste. That's not quite dark enough. Ooh, might be going to do black, but I'm not going to tap down into the black. I'm just going to rub it over the black. That should get me a slightly softer, but I'll just put my fingers straight in the crackle paste. This is why really you wait till your crackle paste has done its job, but I'm just feeling too impatient today. That's a nice texty, scripty little bit of detailing just in those margins where there's nothing going on. Don't want to put it down there because I think there's crackle paste. That's good. That's a good little bit of extra detailing. Nice. I might just glue some of this down now because I think I might be almost done, and then I'm just going to leave it be and let the crackle do its work, because that's what it really wants to do. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the neutrals. I'm enjoying the texture. And I really need to let the texture do the rest of its job. I'm just considering toxic as opposed to poison here. That's quite nice. Grand. There might be a little bit of wordy stuff to go on. I'm going to do a bit of gluing, and then we'll probably come back and hope that some of this crackle has dried a little bit. Oops. Back shortly. While I've been waiting for this crackle to crack, I've been doing a bit more thinking. I've got a couple of metal bits that I'm definitely going to add, and I also pulled out some word stickers that are from this sticker book, Halloween sticker book from, I don't know what year, quite a long time ago. It's got versions of the clipping stickers, and it's also got other stickers of various kinds in there. I pulled out calls answered day or night, which I love. She's a fortune teller on call, and the reason she's willing to answer calls day or night is that she might just bring on a little bit of poison with her. So a strange feeling comes over you, you see, if you happen to call upon this woman for a reading. She might bring just a little bit of extra fortune or misfortune to you when she comes. The crackle is almost there. There are some places where it's still just finishing off. And I'm going to give that a bit of highlighting, but I thought I might as well add these metal bits while I'm waiting. I've got a couple of tiny attachers. So one of these are the little Halloween tokens. Almost finished my Halloween story sticks. Look at that, almost empty. So you can see that I also started setting up. I'm almost ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. So little bit of brayer assistance through here. I've glued down several pages together, so it's quite thick now. But I definitely want that to go through my typewriter letterpress as well. So let's go through there. Tiny attacher goes through. I don't mind that there's a bit of metal now coming through on this page. I might either leave it there as a bit of detailing, or I can always glue down another page to stop that from moving. I'm in two minds about whether to glue that down. I won't yet, because there's some crackle going on here that I want to be able to add detail to. So this, I think, probably in contact with that sticker there. Oh my, oh look, I'm going to go, I probably don't want to go straight through onto my birds. So let's see if I can still pull apart some pages here. Eesh. Yes, look, I can. Phew. Okay, so for this little bit, they are glued. I have diligently glued them together, but it is at the moment possible to get them apart again. And yes, that was a little rip to the bird page, but it'll live, because when I glue it down again, you'll never know. So that's now going to go through to there. Where's my other little thingamy? Through the hole, fold it over. Come on. So that's now on a page in between. There we are, finally. And this I will glue back down. And that will mean that that bird page is basically put back together. Yes, there's a little rip, look at that. But I don't think you're ever going to notice it, because that bird page is also so full of texture. Which is the challenge we're playing with. So once that's glued back down, you're never going to know that there was ever a problem there. I promise you. Go back to that video, I'll link it, and you'll see that that page is no different than it ever was. Very good. What else? Oh, yes, I had thought of highlighting these metal bits a little. If I use the Picket Fence Distress Crayon, I can kind of send some waxy crayon down into those numbers. Number 13, that one says. And that just means that that little metal message is highlighted. You can do that with paint as well. Don't have to have a crayon. I'm going to put a bit here. The paint, you need to make sure you get wiped off nice and rapidly so that it doesn't dry on the surface of your metal. The crayon gives you a little more flexibility of playtime. It won't set in quite the same way as acrylic paint will if you use that for this purpose. But for years, before the distress crayons turned up, I used to do this with acrylic paint. So it's perfectly possible, I promise, if you don't happen to have distress crayons. I just need to get into the base of that F there. Come on. And into the top of that E. There we are, and white back. And you can see that just means you can see what's going on there. So to create a little more visual presence of these cracks, they are cracked, got gorgeous texture going on up here, got really subtle fine texture where it was quite thin through the middle of the page here. Got some lovely texture going on through these places. You can do this in a number of ways. You can do this with a distress crayon. You can just rub on a little bit of distress crayon, rub it in with your fingers, and you'll get to see what's underneath. If your crackle is a bit delicate or you're worried it's going to vanish, you can use just a little bit of, let's say, pumice stone distress ink, just popping that onto my craft mat there, and then I'm just going to use either a water brush or a little bit of water on a brush so that that's nice and fluid, and then I'm just going to paint that over the crackle. It'll drop down into the cracks, and then I can knock it back at the top level, just leaving it down in those cracks there. I think that's quite fun. So this is the bit I was talking about, wanting to be able to move that so that I can put that in, and then just a little bit of knocking back of the top layer. I think I might give it a touch more. This is hickory smoke as opposed to pumice stone, just over some of that texture, just to build up our awareness of the crackle. Ooh, did you see how that suddenly came to life there? Amazing, amazing. So yes, let's do that. And then you can, with a watery brush or with your fingertip, there'll be enough moisture on your fingertip to also be able to draw attention to this, but I think my fingertips have got mucky enough already today. I'm going to help that down into the cracks. You can see I also added a bit of text stamping to a couple of these labels just to create a bit more detailing. So that's just loosening that crayon so that it'll go down into those cracks and give us those lovely bits of additional texture. Again, you can knock back the surface, leaving the colour really down in the crackles as opposed to over the top as well, and that gives you that lovely sense of crackled messiness. Just thinking the edge of the page could do with a bit of distressing, something like that. Bit of dark and depth. I also added a couple of extra labels sticking out into the world, so when you turn the page you just get October sticking out there. Get this little one here. I think that's everything I did. I'm loving this fabric texture, absolutely gorgeous. Might go just for a quick little speckle flick, shall we? I'm wondering. Oh, maybe we'll use this. So this is the Distress Spray Stain in pumice stone, and I'm just pulling out the nozzle, untwisting, pulling out the nozzle to just add a bit of dark spatter as opposed to white spatter for once over some of these. Spider's web over the fabric, down in that corner. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And where I've hit her face, I'll just knock that back. So I think I'm about there. I hope you've enjoyed today's slightly spooky playtime, adding lots of texture for the Simon Says Stamp challenge, Simon Says Stamp Monday challenge, to add some texture. Pretty sure I did that effectively. If you've got comments or questions, do leave those down below. Always a joy to interact with you. Lovely to hear what you think of things. And yes, as usual, I'll link to videos that might be relevant, and I'll try to leave a list of fairly comprehensive ingredients of what I've used to create this little art journal page. Thanks so much for your company, and happy crafting all. Bye.